Welcome to the Richmond Spotlight. This is our very first episode. This is very exciting. This is where we sit down with local health and wellness professionals who are doing meaningful work, not only with their craft, but building a community around them. So we are excited to kick it off. By the way, I am Dr. Camille Ronesi, owner of Ascend Physical Therapy, and we are kicking off our very first episode with a very dear friend of mine that I think you're going to love and respect, and that is Coach Brett Woldanski of XFactor Athletic Performance. He has been serving this community for a very long time in multiple spaces, most significantly with XFactor, which has been celebrating 10 years now. Do I have that right?
We're just 11 now.
11 now. Congratulations. I had got to know you guys a couple of years ago, and I was blown away, not just with your expertise and how good everybody's squat looks, which is a very big compliment coming from me, but also the community is the most chill, kind, thoughtful community I have been around in a long time. Your people show up for each other on a regular basis. You guys have fun together. You guys call each other best friends, which is kind of crazy in a gym. That comes with purpose. Like, that doesn't come by accident. That comes because the person who owns the company, who is there all the time, sets the culture. And I'm really excited to share Brett with the greater community. I think all of you listening to this are going to find that he is not only a delightful conversationalist and an expert in his craft, but just has really fabulous perspectives that are fun to listen to. So, Brett, are you ready to kick this thing off?
I don't know. That's a pretty high bar. Let's see if I can limbo under it.
I bet you can. I think you've leveraged a lot of high bars in your life, or at least heavy ones. So I think you can manage this one. So I just wanted to start with the most obvious question in the world. And that is really, I want people to understand your arc. So if you really wanted someone to understand the arc of Coach Brett and how it got to where you're at 11 years of X Factor, what do you want people to know? What's that story?
Well, we'll try to give you the expedited version.
We got time.
I took a kinesiology course in college and said, wait a minute, you could get paid to do this, not understanding the concept of money. Like, you can, it's not much. And again, it's a losing battle, but whatever. I like the fight, I guess. So I delved deep into that, and then I ended up going to VCU for a master's degree. Because, at the time I was going on the strength and conditioning route, and it's like, well, you have to have a master's degree for an unpaid internship. That's just the way it is. So that's what you're going to do. And so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to spend a lot of money to do that. But luckily I was able to have some good influences at James Madison, and then getting my master's at VCU. I was able to work with the strength and conditioning staff for a year there while I was completing the graduate work. Really loved coaching, and I had worked at a couple of private places here and there beforehand, and then after. I stepped away from the collegiate and the university level. There were just certain things that I didn't like, and I realized that it wasn't quite the environment for me. Fast forward a little bit, I worked as a personal trainer, then got a call one day that said, hey, would you like to work for the U.S. Army? And I said, sure. He said, there's a catch. I said, what? He goes, you have to start on Monday. You mean a week from now? Yes. All right, cool. You have to do all these things somehow. All these checks and different physicals and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, long story short, I did it. I worked both jobs for American Family Fitness, training there, and working full-time for the Army on base. And that was an interesting job because a lot of what we did was very clinical. As myself and the other strength coach, Aaron, we worked alongside a physical therapy tech, physical therapist, and an athletic trainer for our whole musculoskeletal action team. Sounds cool, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It's great to have that kind of forward thinking with that.
Yeah. And conceptually, it was very cool. A lot of our job turned into more education and injury prevention because as strength coaches, that's not really, what I mean? We're not really the clinical guys. That's not the scenario in which you want Aaron and myself. You kind of want us in the field.
Yeah.
We're better out there.
You're probably not as happy in a clinical setting. Like, it's probably a little bit harder for you to function.
It's not really our thing. But teaching people how to squat, how to lunge, how to hinge, and all that stuff and giving them really good information and being able to level with the guys and girls in the military. I think that was a good thing. And maybe that's just Aaron and I both being good communicators, or kind of letting them know, like, we're not stuffy, we're not like your usual contractors. Like, no, 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 we really do want you to get better,
Yeah.
and we want good things for you. But eventually that contract ran out after almost 3 years, and I was still working at American Family Fitness. And I think you get this too, from your time personal training. Like, if
Hmm.
you're doing one-on-one, 4 to 8 is your sweet spot, and if you've booked up your 4, your 5, your 6 o'clock, your 7 o'clock, you're busy for
You're
four
done.
hours. Yeah, and you kind of tap out.
Yeah. And
And
then you add the
so,
6 a.m.s. Then you're doing 6 to 8 in the morning and you're doing
right.
4 to 8 in the evening
Yeah. I was
every
like,
day.
I don't want to do that. It's just
Right.
not, and I could kind of see the math. Like, you're going to top out and you're going to chase your tail.
Yeah.
Um, Especially when there's sales goals. Not that that's a bad thing to have goals, but it's like, you got management like, hey Brett, can you make sure you do these things? And I'm like, I hit my quarterly goal in a month and I'm a part-timer. Like,
Right.
I don't, I
Well,
so that,
I think there's something about being in those bigger box gyms, which have a lot of benefits, both as an employee and as a
yeah,
member, that
yeah,
are really, really great. But I think when you start becoming a master of your craft, which you certainly are, you are not a complacent trainer. Like, you are very much invested in mastering that craft. You kind of start feeling boxed in.
yeah.
Like, you just like, you have potential to do better work and get compensated better, but the gym structure doesn't lend itself to reimbursing the personal trainer to be the best.
Right, that's exactly it. And so
Yeah.
the math will give you a hard cap, which is why in September of 2014, I started XFactor Athletic Performance. And so that's pretty much that. I spend a lot of time at a lot of different places. I've worked the equivalent of 2 or 3 jobs for the last 15 years or so at this
Sure.
point.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 careers worth of experience already.
Right.
If you take a standard 40-hour week, I guess. But yeah, and alongside of that, of course, there was the personal side of things, competing in strength sports for a while. And now it's all coaching for me. Who knows if I'll make it back to the platform. But I'm very content to see others get to the platform, and do great things. So yeah, there's the tried to be but not actually expedited version of the lore.
Yeah, absolutely. Why do you think the US Army found you?
No idea.
I
So the way that they
doubt it was
work.
just a Google search. I mean, this was long enough ago that you really kind of couldn't do that.
So the way it worked was, we were contractors under a contracting company, and the contracting company, their whole job is to just find people to put in positions. And so they'll just search on, I don't know, LinkedIn, or what's some of the other job stuff, like Monster.
Yeah.
I guess
Oh,
I
is
guess
that
they
Monster Indeed, I think?
Yeah, and I think they just search, and they just call and say, "Hey, would you like this job?" Or
You had
um
that master's. That's where the master's probably got you.
right, and I think I was also like masters and CSCS, so it was like, these are the
Yeah,
qualifications that we're looking for. I guess they have access to whatever databases, to be able to find people, and they found me and a bunch of other
awesome.
strength coaches.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you branched out and said, I'm going to start X Factor, which is a terrifying adventure, right? It's like this is a great idea. This is the worst idea I've ever had in my life. Any entrepreneur will probably agree with that. Um, you had a lot of choice about what to do, right? Like, even what to name it and what it's going to be and what its tone is going to be. And I'm curious about, like, where you started with that, and like, did you know what it was that you were trying to do, or did you really have to kind of flesh that out over the couple of years?
I think in some aspects I knew what I wanted to do. I thought business wise, I thought that I was going to work with a lot of teams. Like, I was going to be the privatized version of a strength and conditioning coach.
Sure.
Because I kind of saw the area and was like, I don't think anybody else is really quite doing this. At least there
Right.
wasn't as much at the time. I think there's a lot of it now, but you know, the nature of this business, it ebbs and flows. A lot of businesses come and go in this space. So
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna open this warehouse gym and work with a bunch of teams, and it would be great. Um, the problem was that I moved into a business park, a business neighborhood, or industrial space actually. There was tons of sports places there, but a lot of them were actually pretty openly hostile towards the idea, not because of my services being a competitor. They're actually complementary, as you would know,
Right.
but I was competing for the parents' dollar. Because a lot of the parents, it was like, you're going to do your skills training, be it soccer, basketball, baseball, whatever, or the strength and conditioning
Right.
aspect, and not and that's
Yeah.
something that that I didn't factor in because I didn't know, and I had no idea that that was going to be a thing, and I just didn't think of it. And a lot of these places, they would try to package it, and like they would have their own guy. I I'm sure you've heard my story about walking into one place. It was all dark and creepy. Like, what is happening over here? And I'm looking around just trying to meet somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going down this dark hallway thinking like I've seen this horror movie and I really don't want to be in it right now. And then a
Go
voice
towards the door.
yeah, and then a voice from out of nowhere is like, "Hi Mike, can I help you?" And it's like, I didn't expect an accent or a dude, right?
Right. Totally.
And
That's
I'm like,
hilarious.
"Oh, hey man, yeah, I was, hey, my name's Brett. I just opened a gym right up the road. It's within walking distance, and I wanted to learn more about your business. I see you guys do soccer and baseball. Like, I'm a strength and conditioning coach by trade. I would love to help you guys out." And he's like, "Well, actually, that's what I do. I do that. I do all the strength work." And it was like, but they had a cafe and it was like you're getting set up to start serving beer and nachos. And I'm not saying you can't do both of those things, but like, are you also the beer and nacho guy?
Right. Just didn't work.
Yeah, yeah, I've worn a lot of hats too, but like, are you sure you don't want me to to help? Um,
Is that place still around?
yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. They're very popular. They got a lot of stuff going on there, and the parents get to have beer and nachos while
Your
their kids play
nachos.
soccer. Yeah, they love it.
Of
I
course they
didn't
do.
think I didn't think of these things, and they
Yeah. So I'm having a hard time picturing you working with like gads of teenagers. I know that you have a couple of teenagers on your books, but they're really
yeah,
kind of they're a little bit closer in your circles.
yeah.
They're not your market these days that I've seen. Was that something you were actually going for back then?
I was back then because I just thought that was the natural progression. Teenagers, fine. I work well with them. I don't do well with younger kids.
Right.
I don't know what to do. I don't. uh,
I totally get it.
but teenagers tend to respond well to me.
Yeah, I mean, you have a teenager who is breaking records left. You have two teenagers who are breaking records left and right, getting
Yeah,
national records. Are
yeah,
they at national record level now?
yeah. Ari was he was uncontested in the is it 11 to 12, 10 to 12, the juniors category. And he set every record. Recently, somebody has beat him by like a pound or two
Oh, I bet
on the
that made
records.
him mad.
Well, he's aged out of the class anyway,
Wow.
because now he's 13. And Abby has set multiple records in multiple weight classes at this point. And I've had to have the talk with her that, hey, somebody's going to beat you someday. Like, you're going to age out of this class anyway. You only got 2 years to put up these national record
Right.
numbers within the USPC. So, like, yeah, just go for it and enjoy it because somebody's going to come along someday. I mean, hey, I was a state champion at one point. Like,
Right. Right. Do you think that with coaching, especially the kids, like what is it that gets you more hyped? Is it the like getting them to throw the weights or watching them go through all of that emotional stuff? I've seen those kids at meets. Like I've seen what Abby has gone through emotionally, and she has matured so much in meets, and I know that's a lot because of you. So I'm curious as a coach, like which
she's a
one
roller
is
coaster.
she's I mean, we love you, Abby. You're amazing. And I think that I have a lot of respect for the hard work she puts in. And as a coach, like, where do you get the high? Is it the, like her throwing the weights or is it watching your athletes develop into competitive athletes?
it's the developmental stuff because I think I know that now more than I would have maybe 10 years ago because 10 years ago I was still competing. Um, and for me it was about the number and it's like you would sacrifice anything to do that. Um, Not to say that I wasn't concerned with longevity. I wasn't concerned with it for myself, but I was for other people, because not everybody wants to be a competitive strength athlete. Like, and I did recognize that this is finite. You're not going to do that forever. You're going to have a limited window. Um, but I was lucky enough to have life lessons and learn a lot from the gym and learn about those X factors, if you will, those intangibles about work, discipline, camaraderie, community. And I got very lucky because I got to train at a place called CVA Barbell that I always um, credit. And Carlos, the guy that owns and operates CVA Barbell, is like he's definitely the biggest influence on me, like personally and professionally, because his approach was he wasn't like all rah rah and hand clapping, and it was just like, hey, this is what you've got to do. You've got to do these things to get better. And there was no like, it wasn't like a hardcore gym mentality or something like, do you want to do it or not? And that's something that I've tried to push forward and working with Abby in particular. It's about like it's about knowing that you have to work for something and you get to be the best in the world for a moment. And just respecting the process that it's going to take to be there. Um, and I think too that the resilience is probably important to be able to push for something and to learn how to fail and to learn how to do so gracefully. And I
Yeah.
think you get that too from being a business owner is like you're going to lose
Oh,
like a
I think
lot.
being an athlete and a business owner. Yeah, I think anything, especially in the coaching world, people joke with me all the time. And here we've talked about this, and I do it to you, and I come in and work out with you when it happens. Is like it just is a therapy session. Like
Yeah.
you kind of need the coaches there for you to just dump on. you
Yeah.
know and that
Yeah.
coach is if a good coach is able to convert that into something productive. And I think that's the power of a really good coach, and that's certainly the vibe you've created at X Factor, where there is that like chill, like, are you going to do it or not? Like, we can talk about all your stuff. Are you going to work out? Like, do you want this? Do you not want this? It doesn't matter to me. Like, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
I think you hit a tone in your coaching method that I think is actually not uncommon in the really good strength and conditioning coaches, like the guys who live in the basements of the athletic hall. Like, I'm thinking of the coach that I had, the strength coach that was at William and Mary. I'm thinking of Charlie Weingroff. I'm thinking of
Yeah.
like all these, like the guys that are like the big bald guys, right?
Yeah.
Who are just as mellow as can be and are just like, let's lift, pick it up,
Yeah.
put it down,
Yeah.
do this a little bit, do that a little
Repeat
bit,
as necessary. Yeah.
repeat as necessary, which is a very different vibe than I set with my kind of like I'm the high energy. Like, you might as well give me a microphone in a group X class.
Yeah.
It's a very different, like, I come into y'all's room, I think I'm the agent of chaos, right? I believe that was the title I earned.
Yes, yes. You're right. You're a force of chaos. That's
I'm
okay. Or we need each other.
That's
It's a
right.
yin yang sort of
That's
thing.
correct. So I'm curious if you see that vibe a lot in strength and condition, like in like serious strength and conditioning, and why? Like, what do you think that is?
Um, I think I think especially if you've ever competed in strength sports in particular, um, some people need to get real amped up for things. I don't react well to that. That's when things get a little too chaotic. It's not to say that I can't amp myself up, but that needs to be like a laser-like focus. You need to bring everything in, and be hyper aware of everything that you're doing, everything that you're feeling, and you kind of need to internalize that rather than just kind of spaz out. Like it's not that helpful. And plus, if you make a big production of things and then you miss your lift, that's not a good look.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Part of it's also like um, this kind of like warrior monk aesthetic of like, I will do this, but I will be at peace. Like, and that's
Yeah.
what I will present to you. But I also understand as a leader, um, and the one that is responsible for kind of getting everybody over the finish line, metaphorically, whatever that may be, sometimes literally. Um, Like, no, you need to calm yourself down and you need to be on point because when there's chaos going on around you, you need to be the calm in that storm because if you're chaotic, you're then presenting a chaotic feeling and environment. Um, and I'll bring Abby up again. Like, you really think a teenage girl needs more chaos?
Yeah.
Is that what she needs? It probably isn't. And so that's what I've tried to be for everybody is some sort of stability. I want to be a universal constant like gravity because I also want to lead by example of bad things are going to happen to you. You will have failures and you will be able to pick yourself back up and be fine. Kind of like, I've had a couple of back injuries, one recently, but I
Hmm.
think it's good for people to know that, yep, I'm back under the bar squatting. Yep, I've done what I needed to do. Yes, it sucks that everybody else is stronger than me right now, more or less.
Yeah.
Um, but you
They're
know
coming
what?
after you.
But I'm going to do exactly what I need to do, and I'm going to make smooth, simple progress week after week. And it's going to suck, and I'm going to have to be focused because I can't get away with things anymore. Um, and it's also a good example of um, when somebody ages out. Maybe that's not a good way to phrase it because I have people older than me winning winning
Yeah.
meets and stuff now. But
But
when your
they're
time,
hurting.
we all do, but it's like, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with setbacks, pain, um, whether that be physical or not? Like, how do you deal with these things? How are you going to move forward? Because you're still going to have it one way or another. So how do I lead by example to get you to a place where you're okay with that and you can still make forward progress? And in the end, like, yeah, you look back and say, oh, I'm a much better human being than I otherwise would have been physically, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, whatever. So I guess that all kind of ties in with I just want to lead by example and I just need to be your calm because there's a lot of chaos out there, sometimes more so in here, but
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, it kind of speaks to, I always love that idea of like that sport is the ultimate metaphor, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what your sport is. There are metaphors there that carry over into like how one should live their life. And what I hear from you is that like sense of stability, that sense of constancy, that sense of patience. Like it's a lot of patience. And I'm curious. I mean, I think it would be redundant to say, obviously, that is the perfect metaphor for powerlifting. And I'm curious, was that always what called to you, or did you have to find it? Like, was it natural for you to find that groove?
Yeah, so I even back when I took my first kinesiology course, like the science of the exercise science stuff, the kinesiology, like that stuff was oddly easy for me, which I hear it's not an easy major, but I was like, what are you talking about? This is great. Being a 17-year-old in college, taking the easy way out, shocker. Like I'm just gonna do this because I'll get paid, and this is an easy major for me. Like,
And I get to
what
work out.
yeah, I'll work out because I like that. That's neat. Um, Completely not understanding the way that the world works sometimes.
Hmm.
But I found it was my way to be able to help people out. I don't know if I ever told you this. My major going into college was as a psychology major.
That
Um,
tracks.
but yeah, but I don't really fit that whole vibe. A lot of turtlenecks and coffee, and I don't do that.
Lab work
Um,
too.
yeah, I
I
just
got stymied I was minoring in psychology, and I got stymied
oh,
when they were like, "You need to go do labs," and I was like,
I'm good.
"Don't
Yeah,
make me
I'm
do
good.
research."
Yeah. Yeah, the weight room is my lab.
That's right. It's like,
That's
no,
where
no,
I
no,
do
no.
my
I
experiments.
don't get to tell people what to do in a lab. Like, that's
Yeah,
not fun.
and I also just think that I mean, from working in this industry and in different facets of it, like this is therapeutic, and I think this is a more maybe not more effective, but I think it's a very effective way to be therapeutic and be very helpful because you can mentally and physically engage, and the combination of those seems to be quite useful for everybody. And I think it was my desire to be useful and helpful that led me into that, but then it dovetailed with I just have an eye for things and I just have a feel for like that's going to be about right. And I'm not afraid to admit that like some of that's more art than science, and just kind of knowing what I'm looking at and saying they got about 5 more pounds in them. What about 10? Nope. And that's just I've always had an eye for that, and I liked the environment. I liked doing it, and to this day, somebody will be doing some push downs at the end of the workout, and I'm like, oh, there's a little tricep, growing there. That's cool. And and I guess that speaks to the idea that I'm pretty sure I've picked the right career because even this far along, I'm like, oh, fun.
Yeah.
I know what happens. I know how it's gonna be. I have a system. It's been working forever, and I'm like, oh, neat, it did it.
What is your system?
I just stole everything from way better coaches that were around before me. I just picked and choose from systems like 531, like starting strength, like West Side Barbell.
Yeah.
Dave Tate talks about it a lot on his Table Talk podcast. Some of the concepts of West Side of how they would do their main movements and how they would do their assistance work and how they would just basically, here's our template. I just modified a few things to be a little bit more useful, a little bit more easily digestible. So I don't know, I stole a lot of stuff. And I can kind of, I can kind of do a spiel. Maybe we should do a second episode about the methodology. But I can make it simple and easy to understand and sustainable for life. And then I can just plug and play with, hey, I need a posterior chain movement here. Okay, here's the progression that I generally follow. Here's something that you're really bad at. You fall forward in the squat. So we're going to go good mornings because you're going to practice falling forward and getting back up because that's going to be ultra specific. And we'll put it closer to where you're going to have a meet because you'll have a bar, it'll be on your back, and it's an emergency squat procedure. That seems correct. And when you're done with the meet, we'll do low back raises because that's a hip hinge. That'll, develop your posterior chain. And I can get away with doing a ton of volume there if I really want to versus a good morning. And I can stay away from axial loading or do less axial loading after the meet. So, and I understand for a regular person that might get really complicated and I talk through it kind of fast. And I guess that's part of my calling to this profession is like, oh, that just makes sense to me. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like, why does that make sense to you? There's a lot of concepts that are interwoven there that you're
Yeah.
just like, oh, we'll just do that.
I do find that the most effective strategies are at the end of the day the ones that it just took someone saying it where you go, well, yeah, duh. Like
Yeah,
any of the ones that are really complicated, like if you go to a sports symposium or you read an article and it's like this really complicated, input, output, da 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 da. Like it kind of works, but you really have to like dictate every single micro step, and it gets very tedious. Versus when you
yeah,
go and you hear somebody talk about movement or the squat or the hinge, and you just kind of go, well, yeah, obviously.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and I feel like that's what happens in your gym. Like you don't have fancy moves. You have
No,
very few fancy. It is very, there are bars, there are some bells, but like there are
yeah,
no stations and people are doing, a squat jump into a lunge. Like it's a very,
yeah.
very traditional lifting.
Well, yeah, because if you go back to like anything within physical culture would be a good terminology. Go back to the 70s where Arnold popularized bodybuilding. You watch Pumping Iron, what are they doing? Squatting, pressing, rowing. Oh, cool. So that works all the time for everybody? Sure does.
Right.
You go back to the turn of the century when strongman, powerlifting, all sorts of circus stuff, and bodybuilding was kind of one big thing. What are they doing? Clean and press, deadlift, odd lifts, weird stuff. Like, but it is all very basic. And I kind of love turn of the century stuff of,
Yeah.
so and so. Like Eugene Sandow and Charles Atlas they would have light day, moderate day, difficult day. And you're like, oh, so you're just kind of undulating periodization. Undulating periodization sounds fancy, but it's a good way of saying, well, just do it frequently, but make sure you're not heavy all the time. Okay.
I love it.
Oh,
It's out there
cool.
with the advice of like, you should walk every day and every now and then move like someone's trying to kill you. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be hard, but just every now and then pretend like something is trying to eat you.
Yeah. And
Like,
and it's funny you bring that up. Like, yeah, that's I like some of the old Soviet system stuff because it's like they viewed strength as a skill more.
look,
Um,
their stuff was legit.
Yeah, which is where, Louis Simmons took a lot of the translations from a lot of these texts, and applied some of these concepts. But I like that system of, well, if you're going to do stuff, you can just do it frequently throughout the day. And like I say all the time, you don't need to redline the engine. If you can do 10 pull-ups, how about we do 4 to 6 and do multiple sets and get really good at them? And then all of a sudden you can do 10 to 12 pull-ups, when we do need to push it. But how about you do some light activity? Because you don't have to go hard all the time. You could train hard and you could lift hard, but then you could go for a walk later. That'd be pretty good. And then you're right, you could go for a hard hike, and then you could do some light swimming or something later if you want to train all the time. But this variation, this again undulation of things, like you can't be here all the time. You're gonna burn out pretty quickly, and you're gonna get broken. So yeah, that's I find it interesting. I find different methodologies interesting, but look at where the similarities are. Basic compound movements, relatively high frequency, and don't burn yourself out. Do this for longevity. Cool. I think oh, okay. Conceptually, I get this. How do I put it all together? And that's guys get the kind of way I get paid. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, let
So
me put it.
for the uninitiated, like for the person who has an idea of what they think big and heavy is and lifting strong, and they finally work up the nerve to consider, like, maybe I should get stronger. Especially, like, women right now are being battered left and right with, like, get freaking strong, like it will save your
Yeah,
life. So
yeah.
hopefully people are starting to call you and say, I want to learn more, but I know nothing. I'm not strong enough to work out in your gym. Like, how do you kind of bring them into the fold and help them feel like that's a space they belong and that is a sport that they can participate in?
I think I think first of all, talking about the community, and I know that's very that's an X factor. Once again, it's an intangible, and I think having some people around you that are going to support you, that are really excited for your progress, that are really into what you're doing, um, that's something that comes from the strength world, like powerlifting meet. Like total strangers cheer for each other to move an iron object up and down. Like that's kind of funny. Um,
Yeah.
I think if I can get people to buy into the concept of like, no, 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 it is really a community here, and it's really cool, and nobody cares what your number is as long as it's, going upwards over time. Um, and I also think that as long as I can, as long as I can get the concept across that I don't really care where you start because everybody starts at zero. I say that pretty frequently is I don't really care where you're at. We're going to go up. We're going to make progress. But it's not like there's some sort of requirement. They're like, no, we can't have you here until you reach these standards. Like, no, no, that's okay. And some of those things are actually my most exciting things to watch is when somebody can't bench the bar, right? Thinking of Maggie's client, Jessica, she just started benching the barbell fairly recently, and now she's got some weights on it. Well, she couldn't do that. I mean, she was struggling to handle a pair of 10-pound dumbbells, and now she can. So it's like, well, we find a way to adapt. We find a way to, and she was literally at zero, but now she looks amazing. And it's like, well, here's this kid that's following the system, and Maggie's been doing a great job of coaching her. And this is somebody that you wouldn't think would be able to succeed, but she's had family members that have trained with us, and she thought, "Oh, I think I might like to try that," and now she loves it,
That's
and now,
great.
now she's addicted. So, and I think too that if I can ever express or get the message across that, um, seeing whatever your number is, it is just a number, but it is a sign of progress. Like getting Jessica to the point where she could box squat with a bar and bench with a bar is equally as exciting to me as Robert squatting like
Oh,
474
yeah.
was his best at the meet and pulling 571 technically got red lighted for letting it
But
go this but
it was a good lift. I saw that lift. It was a
it's on the
good
board
lift.
and I approved it.
Yeah.
But
You
it's like
definitely pulled it.
yeah, and here's a guy that, essentially needed a new knee in his mid
Yeah.
to late 40s. And here's this guy that he's outpulled me competitively on the deadlift, and he's
Yeah,
going to squat 500 pounds this year. And it's going to
there
be
it is.
just as exciting to watch him squat 500, to watch Doug squat 500, to watch Michelle pull 400, to watch all these people do all these things. That's equally as exciting to me. And the national records and all these things. That is so cool. But I also love when Jessica learns to squat a barbell for the first time. When Wendy, all 4 feet tall of her, pulls over 200, and then I tell her it's actually 200, and it blows her mind that yeah, you're perfectly capable of doing literally anything now. Or her brother, who needs to show up more often, but whatever. When all of a sudden he was so unsure about doing something, and it's not even a number, it's for the first time, I don't have back pain and I can go about my day regularly without worrying about my spine breaking and I don't hurt. That is a huge PR for me, but more so for him. Um, and those things, I think that if I have a good way to convey those, like I don't really care about the number. It's gonna go up. I know that, but yeah, I want you to feel good. I want you to be empowered, and I want you to realize that you can take these systems and a systematic approach and you can make progress on other fronts in life if you care to delve a little deeper. And if you don't, just get good at bench pressing and that's fine too. I'm okay
Sure.
with that.
Yeah. I think of people like, I know your dad works out there regularly and he's
Yeah.
really come a long ways. And I, the impression I get, and correct me if I'm wrong, is like, he doesn't really care about powerlifting or a strongman, and
Yeah.
certainly it's his son's gym, so he's happy to go. But I think he
Yeah.
actually really enjoys going. And I'm curious, I think him being your dad aside, like adapting your approach for someone who like doesn't give a damn about the powerlifting, so how do you deal with that?
So, I think Dad's an interesting case because he also just takes he's like me, he takes that responsibility of, hey, I'm getting older and I need to be physically capable because I don't want to rely on anybody else. I don't want anybody else to take care of me. I also think he has the mentality of like, well, what if there's a war that breaks out? I'm going to need to soldier up and do stuff. You got to be
Right,
capable.
sure.
Like
Got to
as
be
a man,
ready.
my God, I don't want to get soft. Which is great because he's 64 now. I don't know how old anybody is, but I'm pretty sure I'm guessing. He's been 36 in my brain for all of my life. So,
No, it's
um,
weird to be older than your dad. So
yeah, it's very strange, but it's weird for the both of us. But it's a good example of, hey, here's what can happen. And like he's doing a hell of a lot better than most 64-year-olds.
yeah,
Um, Same thing with Linda, who
yeah.
this will be news and shocking to you. She's out of the gym for a little bit. She was in here when she had a small stroke, actually. Um, but she's back at home now a lot quicker than she would have been, and her rehab process sped.
Oh, and great, I bet.
And it's like just strength training and doing stuff built her so much armor that she's regaining cognitive and speech function and she's back home and she's fine. And I tell you what, I saw her in the hospital about a week or so ago, and way better than you would expect from somebody that had not a massive but still a stroke. Like
Yeah,
that's unbelievably good at 74. I also
yeah,
think
she's
too.
strong.
Yeah, I think too that it's hard to convey to anybody how good you're going to feel when you're physically capable, and how
Yeah,
wonderful it is. The bag of dog food test is always a fun one, especially for
yeah,
my female clients of like, they'll be walking down the aisle with it in their cart when it dawns on them, I did that myself, and I just loaded this 40 or 50 pound bag of dog food that's all floppy and you can't apply force to it properly. I did that on my own, and everything was fine, and I didn't get hurt. I didn't die, and oh my God, look at that.
yeah.
Like,
That's huge,
whoa.
right?
So I think the messaging and usually I'm decent with words, but even I struggle to find the way in which to convey this accurately to everybody on an individual level, just how great you're going to feel, just how empowered you're going to feel. And it's so hard to think long term and extrapolate the numbers of like, I know I cost money, but I'm way cheaper than anything you're going to pay for in terms of surgeries, medications, whatever else. Like, you might want to make the investment in yourself now because it'll be cheaper in the long run and you'll probably look a hell of a lot better too. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Aesthetics count.
like we always say, right? It's like you're going to pay for your health.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
will pay for your health. It's just a matter of when and how much
Right.
fun you're going to have doing it.
Right.
Right?
Like,
Like
do you want to
one
pay
is
a
a lot
lot?
more fun.
Do you want to pay a lot later and not look as cool and not have sweet bench numbers? Or do you want to pay a little bit now, hang out with people, have a movie night every now and again, and
Yeah.
like, again, your bench is going to go through the roof. It's going to be awesome, you know?
Yeah.
People are going to
Yeah.
admire you, not
Yeah.
anybody outside of the gym, but in the gym, people will think you're cool.
And and from that super cool crowd, that's a high compliment. Definitely the coolest people in town with the,
Yeah.
they're I wish people understood, like understand that they are posting, like your people's Facebook posts are like, hey, like I just got a national record in the deadlift and now I just got third place in the puzzle competition,
Yeah, I
like in
was
the
just
jigsaw
gonna say
puzzle
like
competition.
that could be a weekend.
These
Like,
are my two
yeah,
cats. Like they are
yeah.
a bunch of nerds. Like
Had a
and
brutal meet this weekend,
yeah,
managed the squat, missed my bench attempt, was really going for it, took third in puzzles.
that's at the local library.
Yeah, and it's like, and it's funny because that's how we all are. Like that's
Yeah.
exactly what it's like. And it's funny because we all come from that. So I think that's why we're naturally pretty accepting of like, no, that's cool. Whatever your thing is, it sounds
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it is the most like for if there's any women that listen to this, I know that one of the big thing is the like that walking into that space, right? Like being
Yeah.
in those spaces. And I have been walking into gyms since high school, and I have been lifting in gyms since high school, and I have worked in them. And there are gyms that I have gone into. I've gone into a Gold's, and I have just been like right over here, and I've walked in there, and I've been like, nope. Yeah. Like just nope. Like they don't want me here. I don't want to be here. I didn't have the right clothes on. I didn't have the right headphones on. I didn't have the right, I
You
wasn't
do
doing
now.
I do now. I didn't have the fanny pack. Like I didn't. And I was just a girl. And like it
Yeah.
was very intimidating, even though I was a very experienced personal trainer. And
Yeah.
your gym doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Everyone's in baggy t-shirts. Like
Yeah.
everyone's chill. There are
Yeah.
lots of sizes in your gym, lots of
Oh yeah.
sizes. It is not like going into a CrossFit or like it's not where everybody's in booty shorts and super ripped and super trim and kind of patronizing to the women. It is quite the opposite.
Yeah. And
I
I
think
think
that's really cool.
I think some of that just comes from a lot of us. Like, I don't think a lot of us have ever been the popular kid in school to a certain
No,
degree. And I think it's just like, oh, cool, you're into my thing. I'm just so happy that you're here. I, I'm like, just,
come
oh
play
my
D&D
God.
with me.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Like,
do you want to do this other thing that I'm also into? Like, oh my God. And it's, and I've said for years now, like your best friends are going to be gym friends, and it's true
yeah,
because they naturally, like you're responsible for making sure she doesn't die.
right.
Okay, like guess what? You're going to bond pretty well when you're regularly spotting and loading and doing stuff for each other. Um, it's shared tasks and camaraderie. I don't know. Maybe there's some trauma bonding in there too, but
Always.
whatever, it works. Um,
You're never going to have a better trust of somebody than somebody that you went through physical
yeah,
challenges with.
yeah.
Like you're just not like, and some of that there's some interesting psychology. See, I told you we're always going to talk deep. Like some of it, there's some interesting psychology, particularly for men, but definitely for women. Definitely for men is the like side along conversations, like when you're
Yeah.
not facing each other, right?
Mhm.
Like there's a big difference between like us sitting down and talking and then people who cycle, they know, people who go for runs, they know, like the person they're running next to, they start talking about stuff that they did
Mhm.
not expect to be talking about,
Yeah.
and I think that is part of your community is you like, yeah, you do your reps and you kick some butt and you get stronger and you're like, I don't know, you want to try 5 more pounds next time? No, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then in between you chatter about something, you chatter about how much your spouse is driving you crazy or how much whatever, and then somebody makes fun of you for doing something and you laugh about it and then you go do another rep, and it's a really beautiful chill experience. It does take a lot of time though, so how do you help people manage their time?
Uh, I don't know, yell at them and belittle them for taking too long. Try to, it's better when we're busier to just cycle through because like you have to be in motion. So it's like if
Right.
you're done squatting, you should be over this, spotting and
We
loading.
need the
And
bar.
yeah, exactly. And the fourth or fifth person in the rotation, guess what? It's back to you. So, um,
I guess I'm
you
always
know,
there when it's quiet.
yeah, because middle of the day, which is
Right.
when us in the industry would train. Um, so that's pretty good. I have a knack for logistics and just kind of seeing like how does this instrument stay on beat? Do they come in on the fours or are they every other note? Or I guess
Right.
that's music
I don't know
background.
how you do it. I've watched you weave people, right? Like I've
Oh
watched
yeah,
that weave, and it's like that number four rack needs to be at 10, needs to be
yeah,
set at this height because so and so just walked in, but so and so needs to finish up their set. Like you don't have a piece of paper. You know everybody's numbers. You know everybody's expectations for that day. You know everybody's
more or
setting.
less.
I mean, you've
Yeah,
got a general flow where you keep it rolling and there is no clipboard in your hand.
it's just the way my brain works too. And I'm fascinated with it's kind of like a military mechanization sort of system. It's just the way my brain works. I just remember that sort of stuff for people. Uh, and it's also very interestingly enough, kind of how American artillery worked in World War II, and it's why we were really dominant and like, yay, we're good at stuff. Just all right, I know this thing takes this long to get here, so it's got to fire at this time. This thing doesn't, so fire it earlier. That way, everything happens at once. And maybe that's like part of me playing music. Maybe that's part of me just kind of being mechanically inclined to see how things kind of work.
Yeah.
And just having a sense of time and like, well, that'll take a minute. That'll take 3 minutes. So I need you to do that. We're back to you. That. We're back to you. And then you just kind of build parts to your orchestra, I guess. But that's really all it is like, and for me too, to be fair, those are my talents and I'm working within my skill set. And I just created a system and an environment in which I could be successful. I'm just a creature in my niche habitat that's like, I'm really good at this. Um,
Come
but
play with me.
yeah, but if you take a polar bear and put him on a tropical island, he's not happy about that. I mean, he might survive, but he's not good at it.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I created an environment in which the system works for me. And hopefully I can teach people to work within that system. And as long as you're giving people clear directions and orders about what to do, and you kind of explain to them like, hey, I need you to go ahead and spot because once you're done, you're going to hop under there. They're going to cycle out. And then I need you spotting this person on the bench so that I can keep a visual on everything, and just
Right.
as long as you're always moving, try not to get bogged down. Is really that's all I'm trying to do. And then it's just managing chaos, which sometimes it gets derailed, sometimes it is going to be what it's going to be. But whatever. The advantage is everybody likes each other and they keep showing up for each other. It's not for me. I'm good at writing stuff down and programming, but they don't care. As long as their numbers go up and they're having fun and they look a little better, like man, they like each other.
Yeah,
Plus
they do.
I host movie nights regularly. They don't.
Yeah, you do. You curate those well. So let's ask one, make sure we at least get one good coaching question is the controversy of the back squat. Why the back squat?
Because I
And why
think
the
it's
deadlift? We'll do back squat and deadlift or all
so
three.
for me it's easier to teach, and I think there's less mobility concerns. I will start with the box because it gives everybody a chance to pause, and if you screw that up, you just end up sitting down, which that's fine. Um, I think the front squat is harder to teach, even though I do start with a goblet position if somebody's not strong enough to handle the barbell yet.
Mhm.
Um, so I think the front squat is a great tool. I'm certainly not opposed to it, especially if somebody's doing something where more front loading is necessary. I just find it easier to teach for me, and I find it an easy way to make progress. Same thing with the deadlift. I usually teach the conventional deadlift first. I don't mind pulling sumo or conventional, or if I need to, make the trap bar deadlift a primary movement. But most of the time, I can teach these things relatively easily. And there are also big movements where I can add weight to the bar pretty easily, and you can see pretty pretty significant progress, especially early on. So, I mean, I do still have to sell it at the end of the day. Like, see how good you're doing? Like,
Right.
objectively, you can see that, you can feel that, you know.
Right.
So yeah, they're easy for me to teach. And then I can modify as needed. So that's
Does
that.
is there a purposeful gain or a benefit from it besides being able to do it?
So yeah, from being able to move the most amount of weight, you're going to engage the musculature more than anything else you would do isolation wise. You're going to get a lot of bang for your buck because it's going to load the whole system. It's going to coordinate the whole system because you're going to have all the parts working in conjunction with each other. And you know, I like a good orchestra.
Hmm.
Um, and if you could do one thing, because let's be real, sometimes life is going to allow you to do one thing. Do I want you to do a leg extension or a squat? Like, I'm going to choose the squat. It's going to engage more muscle. It's going to engage the system. You're going to handle heavier loads. And because of that, you're going to be able to drive progress forward. Whereas the isolation work or some of the assistance work, it's going to top out after about 5 or 6 weeks. And you're going to notice those diminishing returns where it just kind of crests. Whereas, at least for the squat, the deadlift, the bench press, yes, there's going to be some variation in here, but your line of best fit for the first several years, we can get that to be pretty linear, you know, which is great because yes, we'll have our little cycles where we go up and down, but eventually it's trending this way.
Right.
But yeah, I can move you in a more linear fashion. Again, zoomed out. Renee likes when I say that. And when I get a zoomed out view, I can just overload the whole system and it's easier. Plus, it also reveals to me where your weaknesses are.
Right.
Whereas something in isolation, I may not be seeing the whole system, and then I can use those movements of like, oh, okay, well, you fall forward in the squat, so you're not bracing well, and or your lower back is weak. Cool, let's do both and address the problem and see if it fixes your squat. Or you know, you can't sit back worth anything. So, all right, your hamstrings can't support you in that position, and your posterior chain's weak. Good thing is that's true for 99% of people, and we'll just
Yeah.
do that, you know? So
Yeah,
that's
definitely. Yeah, you can't hide in a back squat. Like you really can't
yeah,
hide.
yeah, you'll know.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I think we should probably wrap it up. I could talk with you for hours,
I know,
obviously. And
perfect timing because now
perfect.
it's on to train a couple of teenagers and make them successful.
Oh, look, they don't have to go to school, so they can go to the real school. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you would like for the general Richmond population to know about you, about X Factor, about powerlifting? What is the message you want to make sure people know?
It's the per capita strongest gym in the Richmond area, and I'm not always talking about the physical stuff.
Mm,
Seriously, it's the best community that I've ever been privileged to be a part of, and I'm unbelievably thankful that I have these people around me, and I think they're thankful to have each other. And
yeah.
this place is amazing. I always say I put some weights in a warehouse and I built a whole community somehow. I'm not sure where that transition piece was, but man, I'm sure happy that it turned out like that. Yeah, I think I've made the best friends that I've ever had in my life, or a lot of the best friends I've ever had in my life here. Um, and I think people that go here can say the same, and that's incredible. So, and we're pretty talented, you know, we're pretty good at stuff, and we have cool events. So,
You do.
um, so yeah, if you want a high performance but not high pressure environment where you're probably going to fit in, unless there's something really weird about you, you'd really have to try to out weird us. I think that's it. I think if you want a place where you can belong, yeah, we're here for you.
That's really beautifully said. I think you described what it is we like about you and why you and I partner together so often on your athletes. Um, we do like the weird. We do tend to go for the people who prefer to be seen, valued, heard, respected, curious, engaged. They don't, it's a lot less about some kind of number, and it's a lot more like feeling like
Uh-huh.
this is a place where you are welcome.
Mhm.
And I think that's great. And I'm really excited to continue to work with you. I'm excited to talk with other providers and learn the same things about them. We love the weird in Richmond, that's for sure. I'm going to let you go, but I want to thank everybody for listening. And if you have any questions about XFactor or Coach Brett Woldanski, I encourage you to reach out. Check him out on Instagram. He's got a pretty active thing there. And in the meantime, stay safe out there in that icy weather. Look out for the blizzard, and off we go. Have fun with those teenagers, Brett. It was great to talk to you today.
Thanks, and take care.
Till
Bye-bye.
next time. Bye.